Yeah, I died, or at least I thought I had. And what I realized, 59 years later, was that I had been living a life functioning in fear. And when I finally woke up to the fact that it was because of ignorance that I was living that way, I sought answers to how to come out of it. And I think I give that a lot in the parallel of being a whole food, plant based lifestyle person, because I wasn't always. And I became plant based before I became a vegan. And I tell the story, I was adamant about not calling myself a vegan until my dear friend Marla Friedman, Dr. Marla Friedman, told me about ahimsa. And I thought, wow, if that is the correlation to veganism, compassion for self, compassion for animals and the planet, and yes, I'm a whole food plant based. I don't want to kill animals to be able to eat them and say that I'm, fat and happy because I'm eating animals when I know that fat and happy isn't what you want to be. It's not a good combination anyway. Um, I realized that we are all in some way, shape, or form functioning in ignorance until we decide that that little pinprick opened a window that we started asking questions and wanting to find out more about, and actually did find out the truth. And Amy, can I just be honest with you?
That's what we're here about, opening up.
I am a Black woman in a world that I always found intriguing to be what a lot of people told me I could not do, I could not be. And I had a hard time with that. And so I ended up being a little bit rebellious, um, a lot outspoken, and it was always for a cause. And again, I didn't really draw the correlation to it until I found myself in the opportunity to learn from the luminaries about plant-based eating, why it was healthy, what it could do. And it all for me started the day I died. And I was 7 years old, and I found out that my dad wasn't coming home. I didn't really understand why. And I remember being taken to the funeral home and seeing him lying in a casket, and he looked asleep to me. So I'm asking the question, why is dad over there sleeping? Why didn't he come home? Why isn't he coming home? Why isn't he talking? What's going on? And back then, what I heard was, children are not to be heard. I don't even want to see you. Go in the other room. And I went through an extended period of time asking questions about my dad's death. And what I realized was that not having anyone to explain to me what was going on, it felt like I had died. And he was 29 years old and died of a massive heart attack.
Oh,
And as I grew older and understood what a massive heart attack was, the story behind how he died in the drugstore, about to buy some aspirin to kind of take care of the pain in his chest, he collapsed. Back then, they didn't know CPR, and he was gone. And it disrupted a lot of people's lives. My dad was that kind of a guy.
mm,
I always told myself I was my dad's daughter, and a lot of people. He was very active in his role as a teacher. He was one of two Black teachers in an all white, all boys high school in the city of Baltimore called City College, and he taught French and Spanish. I was speaking Spanish and French before I was 3 years old. Um, and it was because of him and his saying, you know, I want you guys, my brother was a year older than me. I want you guys to know this stuff and to feel comfortable in this stuff and, you know, to be able to have a conversation with people and not sound like you just are illiterate or, you know, you have me was what I felt like was coming from him. You have me and I'm going to pour into you. And then I look up and he's gone. And our whole world changed. He was an officer, so to speak, in his fraternity. So he had all of his fraternity brothers at the funeral. So, Amy, imagine this. I'm a little girl, 7 years old, stepping out of a limousine. I'm like, what kind of car is this? This is nice, right?
Mm,
And totally just observing. And I get out and I see this line of black suits with white shirts and black ties down the block. And I look down the other side. They're lined all the way down the block. And so we're walking up the stairs into the church, and I turn around and look, and they're on the other side of the street, down, line the street as far as I can see. And on the other side, line the street as far as I can see. This was my dad's funeral. And I'm walking in the church. The church is packed with people. And I'm 7 years old. I don't even really comprehend what I'm seeing, but I see 2 rows of young white men sitting there with their black suits and white shirts and black ties. And I see all of these people around. And I'm just wondering what's going on. And then in front of me is my dad, and he's sleeping still.
mm,
No one took a moment to say anything to me. It was 2 weeks later that my mom finally had enough and asked one of my older cousins to come over to see if she could talk to me. And I mean, spent 2 weeks boo-hooing snot bubbles, the whole 9 yards.
mm,
And I can imagine what my mom felt like because of that. And that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to I was calling for help, right?
mm, yeah.
And finally, my cousin just asked me, "What can I do?" I said, "Just talk to me. I just want to know what's going on."
Yeah.
And she told me, "Your dad's not coming home. He's in heaven. He'll always be with you in your heart." And, you know, she just had that conversation.
Mm,
And I was able to say, okay. And whatever other questions I asked, she answered. I was able to dry my tears out of understanding. And I felt like that entire incident followed me my entire life, pretty much, because of one thing. And that was the one question that I couldn't articulate and that I internalized was, is that going to happen to me? Is that going to happen to me? And so every 9 years at 19, I think I blacked out the entire year. I was a zombie walking through 19 years old. I had a job, I was in school, I was doing all the things, but I remember almost nothing about my 19th year of life. I remember doing things and getting to 29 myself. That was truly a test of will because the question was still there. Does that mean I'm going at 29 too?
mm,
My brother had his own issues dealing with that. He later in life told me that he thought for a long time that my dad's death was because of him.
yeah.
And I thought, oh my goodness, you know, and that might have been a turning point for me to begin to turn the wheel because I think that was me. Was it my fault? And because of that, am I going to die? Am I going to die for real? So 29, 39, 49, all of those 9 years were truly years of tur- pain,
Mm,
turmoil, and hiding. If I don't do anything, I won't risk having something happen. And it wasn't until 49 that I said, um, you've done pretty well. I had done pretty well. I had a great corporate career, ended up in an executive level position. I was fortunate to be able to train people and create high performance teams. I worked for organizations where I was the leader of the group that was the main revenue stream for the entire company. And I thought, if I can do this, I can do some things. But that was it. I was the extremist. And in my 20s, while I had this corporate career beginning, I was an extreme athlete. I was a fitness instructor for 20 plus years. I ran 5Ks, 10Ks, marathons. I swam. I was single parent to 2 kids. So I was raising 2 kids, had a corporate career, and I had this dual career in the fitness industry. I trained with Billy Blanks. I was a kickboxing star. I
Yeah.
had people coming from all over the city sometimes to be a part of my classes. I had Evander Holyfield. I worked out at a gym that was not far from his house. He would drop in on my classes sometimes. I mean, it was like, what in the world, right? And so I'm trying to figure out how to balance things. And the balance for me was in fear, I was extreme. And in this extreme athleticism, it brought a lot to me. I became more confident. I liked who I was. And it was a good mask for the fear that I had to basically cover. And at age, getting through, I actually transitioned from the I was a personal trainer, amateur bodybuilder. I transitioned from the hard things on my body to cycling. So at 48, I started cycling. At 55, I did for my birthday, celebrating my birthday, I did a 55-mile bike ride. I went to work, came home, did my bike ride, came home, changed up, and went and had dinner with friends that night. That was a good day. 59, I can't tell you the same. I can't tell you I had the same experience of living a year of joy because of that underlying fear. But what I did, because of where I was at the time, and I knew that there was something that was in the works. Spirit gave me indications. And I ended up on a project where I was a part of a team that interviewed 35 plant-based doctors from Caldwell Esselstyn and T. Colin Campbell, and Dean Ornish, and Joel Furman. And I mean, just the names went on. And I thought, I'm in the right place now. I get it. I know how to prolong my life and without fear, because doing it the right way, the plant-based way for me, always felt good.
Mhm.
I'd always been attracted to nice salads where I knew I could put any kind of dressing I wanted over it. It was a beautiful salad. It was doing my body good. I stopped drinking milk when I was 26. It was the last time I suffered with kidney stones and cystic acne.
Yeah.
Uh, Acne the size of a quarter.
Oh,
Going to the dermatologist, getting a needle this long stuck in my face. I'm like, do you really need a needle that long?
wow.
What's the purpose of
I
that?
I know someone who went through those treatments, and your skin looks beautiful. That is not everybody's experience.
Thank you. Well, it was after being rushed to the hospital, passing kidney stones, which I did not know what was happening. I thought I was going to die.
Right. Yeah, I
Um,
was gonna say, yeah.
and this cute little black nurse comes in and she's doing her thing, checking the bags and how are you doing? You're still in pain, asking all of those
Yeah.
questions. She said, "Do you mind if I ask you something?" And I was like, "If it's going to make things stop hurting,
Mm.
please, what do you know?" And she said, "What did you eat yesterday?" And I thought about it. I had 2 bowls of cereal and I had 3 corn muffins. And she said, I was like, "What does that mean?" She said, "You might want to think about dairy and eliminate dairy from your diet. Dairy contributes to kidney stones." And I said, "Thank you so much." I think I even gave her a hug. If I didn't, it was because I was in so much pain, but I wanted to. And that was it for dairy for me.
You were
No,
so lucky to encounter someone that had this understanding because back then even, but even today, still
exactly.
very health very
She
few healthcare professionals are aware of this.
She was an angel sent to me
Yeah.
that over time I could go back and revisit that situation and say, "I'm supposed to be here. There's something I'm supposed to do." And even if I didn't know what it was at the time, I knew it was in front of me.
Mm.
And, it's things like that that have happened to me that gave me hope. It was in this interview process, and Dr. Neil Barnard was one of the first doctors that we interviewed in this project. And we were able to ask him questions after the interview was over. And I asked him, I was like, I told him the story. My dad died when he was 29 of a massive heart attack. And he stopped me. And he was like, "Wait." He said, "First of all, let me tell you, I am so sorry that happened to you. That should never have happened." And I thought, oh my goodness. First of all, what a gracious man. And
Yeah.
second of all, after what I am learning, I believe it.
Mm.
And maybe this is the thing that the angel was there to help me get through that point in time that I'm supposed to really hear and take to the next level and help others to find out about. And I've gone through a few things, but that is honestly the biggest reason that I'm here today doing the work that I do. I probably still would have been a business coach. I don't know that I would have been as passionate because when I started my coaching practice, I only wanted to work with women, because I felt like we shared something
Mm.
in our pursuit of uh, business success. And then I looked up one day and I said, "Well, who are my clients?" And my clients ended up being women in the health or finance arena. And I thought, well, wow, isn't that interesting? The 2 career paths I had all my life,
Yeah.
right? So it was really a nice way to get into what it is that I'm doing now. And then I know that people often ask me, "Well, where's hypnosis come from?"
Yeah, well,
Right?
first, before you talk about that, you went through your teen years, and then you kinda skipped 9 years and all that at a time, but you had told me, that you had struggled with weight as a young teen.
Ooh,
Can you
yeah,
tell us about that and how you figured out, all of that? Because I know you had the cystic acne and you had other health issues too, but we didn't really cover the weight.
yeah. Oh,
About that.
great question, Amy, and thanks for bringing that in. Um, So my brother was a year older than me, and when my dad died, things shifted in our household.
Yeah.
While I was only 7, I think I had 2 years of just being a kid available to me. And I remember at age 9 actually waking up one day and saying, "Gosh, I'm taking care of the whole family. I'm doing the laundry, I'm doing the dishes and cleaning the kitchen every night, and I'm making sure that everybody's beds have clean sheets on them, and I'm doing the vacuuming and the sweeping and the keeping the house together. And I thought, wow, I'm Cinderella,
Yeah.
right? And I lived that. And my rebellion to Cinderella was my brother got to do pretty much whatever he wanted to do. And one of the things he wanted to do was eat the majority of food that was put on the table. And I found myself one day saying, basically in my mind, I'm going to compete with you. You want 2 hamburgers? I'm going to eat 2 hamburgers. You want 2 hot dogs? I'm going to eat 2 hot dogs. The thing was, he got to go outside and run around and ride his bike, and I got to clean the kitchen,
Mm.
right? It's totally different expenditure of
Yeah.
calories and
And
energy
males seem to burn it off. They burn more calories than women anyway,
anyway.
even if they're just sitting there.
And so for me, it was day after day. And after not too very long, I was this chubby little girl. And it wasn't a little girl, it was my early adolescence years. I was in ninth grade, and I don't know what happened, but I got sick. I got very sick. I was in the bed for 3 weeks. I remember the doctor coming once. I remember one time being brought some soup, and I don't remember anything else outside of sleep, except for the day that I woke up. And it just happened to be a Sunday. And I was like, okay, I'm going to school tomorrow. That's all I could think about. And then there was a problem. I didn't have any clothes to wear. None of my clothes fit me anymore. I slept for
Wow.
3 weeks
Yeah.
and lost
Mm.
all of that fat. My body just consumed all of that fat, keeping me alive
Mm.
during that period of time. And when I finally figured out that I needed something to wear, I ended up finding a skirt in my closet that wasn't falling off. I remember putting pins in it to keep to keep the waist tight enough that it wouldn't fall off of me. And then I had one of my brother's white button-down shirts. And I wore that for a full week to school before my mother actually noticed enough to say, I think we might need to buy you some new clothes.
Mm.
And I got a few new pieces of clothing, and that got me through the next couple of weeks where I decided, okay, if it's going to be this hard for me to get clothes and take care of myself, it's time for me to take care of myself. And I started making my own clothes. I started saving my allowance. I would go to the fabric store and buy patterns and material. My mother had an old sewing machine. I convinced her to teach me how to use it. And I started making my own clothes. And I felt so much better about myself. I could go to high school now.
Yeah, that's a tough time in your life too. Wow.
So yeah, I would like to have thought that it could have been plant-based eating that helped me to do that, but it
Fasting.
it was fasting. It was fasting. I remember having water at my bedside, and I mean, I don't even remember getting up to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
I remember one time somebody brought me soup. One of my sisters brought me soup. And I do remember one time the doctor came, but outside of that, all I remember was sleeping.
Mm.
And going back to high school, I mean, going back to school, I really didn't even realize the impact of the weight loss until some of my friends came up to me. Where have you been? We have missed you. Are you okay? You don't even look like yourself.
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you mean? It's like you look so different. I'm like, I didn't really get it. Um, and therein lies another part of the story that took me to hypnosis. Um, I watched a Lifetime movie about a young girl struggling with anorexia and bulimia. And that by the time I figured out, okay, I don't want to regain this weight, What do I do? And if starving got me here, then maybe I need to keep starving. And
Mm,
so I did. I went through years of anorexia. I did not like bulimia because I didn't like what throwing up felt like. And all, I was like, nope, not doing that. I'm just not going to eat.
right.
When I ate, occasionally I would eat a good meal, but most of the time, and honestly, I ate Doritos or popcorn.
Mm,
And that lasted for years. I even worked during the summer at a couple of fast food restaurants, and I wouldn't eat the food.
mm,
And then seeing this Lifetime movie,
yeah,
I understood. And what I also understood, because honestly, Amy, I still looked in the mirror and I saw this fat girl.
yeah.
I couldn't, it wouldn't go away no matter what someone told me. I never saw it myself. And I couldn't trust that they were telling me the truth, although, people don't generally lie to you about that.
Mhm.
But I understood from this Lifetime movie, this girl looking in the mirror, seeing her and seeing what she saw. I was like, that explains it.
Yeah.
And so I was able to ask around about what's a healthy diet for somebody who's in this space.
Mm,
And even on the movie, they did a little bit of showing you what better eating could look like, and I
mm,
tried to do that. I liked broccoli, I liked potatoes, and I liked salads. So that was the mainstay of my diet for decades,
huh. That's
and
so
even through working out the way that I did. Um, we would go to the group of us would go to lunch after our workouts, and salad salad and chicken wings, and the salad was the big thing for me.
mm,
And even my kids growing up, they ate salads.
yeah, that's what you had.
Yeah,
Wow, that's
yeah.
so interesting. Well, you wanted to talk about, hypnosis, which is a very interesting topic, and because of that, I wanted to segue into our true or false game.
It's time for True or False on Be Green with Amy Live. Answer true or false to Amy's questions in the comments below, and Amy will ask our guest for the expert answer.
Okay, so our first question for Green Warriors: true or false, hypnosis is a state of heightened focus and concentration that allows individuals to be more open to suggestions. Type in what you think the answer is, and while they're doing that, Lynn, tell us a little bit about this.
Well, hypnosis is a state of heightened focus. However, it is going into the subconscious mind. It's going into the unconscious mind in order to focus a new conversation. And it opens you to suggestions, but it opens you to the logic of those suggestions. And I like to think of it in two ways, Amy. When we believe something, even though we know that there may be alternative thinking around it, we're just gung ho on our own explanation of it.
Mhm.
There's workings in the mind, and there's pathways of communication from the conscious mind to the subconscious mind to the unconscious mind. And in those pathways are synapses, and they fire. This is the truth that you hear. And if the subconscious mind agrees with it, it's like, yeah, okay. If it doesn't, it's going to override it. And even when people say, I want to do this, but for some reason I just don't do it. What is it? It's the subconscious mind overriding what the conscious mind is asking for. And there is a way, hypnosis, that you can actually bypass the conscious conversation and go right to the unconscious mind to implant that truth that you want, that then communicates back to the conscious mind, and you find things change. So you may resolve a trauma situation, you may resolve something that you wanted to do that you couldn't do, but now you feel like you're more able to do it. You have more of an opportunity to do it. So it is a state of heightened focus and concentration that happens in the subconscious mind that allows you to be more open to suggestions.
Well, I think a lot of the Green Warriors can kind of relate to that, even if they've never experienced hypnosis, because so oftentimes our our conscious mind wants us to do something, and our subconscious mind makes us do something totally opposite, and it can be quite a battle, especially in the health space and the food space. So that's so very interesting. And I wanted to do one more true or false about hypnosis. Okay, Green Warriors. True or false, hypnosis can be used as a therapeutic tool to help reduce anxiety and manage fear. Okay, they're going to type in their answers. Tell us about that, Lynn.
Well, that is absolutely true. I call hypnosis one of the power tools that people want to have in their toolbox. There's several things that you want to have in your toolbox. Hypnosis is one of them. And yay. uh, I,
Actually, they were. Somebody had said they were kind of a little apprehensive about answering the first question because, and you had said that it was a little tricky. So, but they're all in on this one.
awesome. Okay. Got some solid truths in that one. But that is one of the tools that I used in that 50s, early 60s space to actually help myself to take that last leg of that journey out of fear
Mm.
of dying at a 9. At 69, I've gone through this year with an entirely different outlook on my life than I did 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And it's because of how I've been able to use hypnosis as a tool, self-hypnosis. I got certified as a hypnotherapist. I'm, always a proponent of what tools can you use to best serve yourself. And in the space of eating better, living this lifestyle, food as medicine sounds nice, but food can also be the thing that kills you. And I shared that when I talked about how I was in the hospital passing kidney stones. I thought I was going to die. And food was the cause of it. Acne, food was the cause of it. Obesity, food is the cause of it. And these are things that we often get on this side of things and say, but how do I fix it? How can I fix it? And it reminds me, I remember when I first started the journey of really looking for the tools to use. I had a lot of people telling me, well, the answers are within you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, if they're in me, they're not.
They're not presenting themselves.
It's like I obviously need help getting them out. So I was like, okay, if you don't have the help tool, or if you are not the tool to help, that's okay. I appreciate that thought. It just confirms for me I need to keep looking. And I mean, NLP, tapping, um, all of it. They are tools. And it really also led me to the understanding about energy. Everything is energy. Food is energy. And what they have done to food to make it an energy of addiction has been cruelty to people. And they're using animals to add to that cruelty. So the level of cruelty is just exacerbated when you look at how we're feeding animals and we're cutting down the rainforest in order to plant soy fields to grow food for animals to eat, to then get raised to get slaughtered. and then to provide food. And first of all, the animals fight going to their death as anyone would. And can you imagine incorporating those feelings into your body, into their body, and
Right,
then
because
they
things
and
things we have stress hormones, we have all kinds of hormones that come out when we're in fear and stress, and animals, they wanna live just as badly as we do, so they must have things
same thing.
being released into their flesh right
Yes.
right before.
Yes. And then you look up and it's on your plate and you're consuming it, thinking it's good. You're thinking it's good because that's what they told you. They wanted you to believe. And they've given you every opportunity to dress it up so that it does taste good. They've put all kinds of other chemicals and things into it. I mean, the studies have proven it. So it's not conspiracy theory anymore. It's proven, and it has been proven for centuries. Hippocrates would not have said that they are going to change the way medicine is being done. Instead of pills, they're going to be utilizing food. And we're here now. We need to utilize food in a way that helps heal the body. And when we heal our bodies with the foods that we can consume, the plant-based foods, the whole plant foods that will heal and help us to be better in our human frame, we're also helping the animals. We're also helping the planets. And Amy, one of my biggest concerns is our children. Our children who are being brought up on all of the things that we know are unhealthy. You know, I saw a post the other day that it talked about the boomer age, right? As boomers, we know what it felt like to be in the rotary phone era where you had the cord that you could take from one end of the house to the other end of the house, upstairs, downstairs, one phone. And here now we have smartphones that we hold in our hands that can do 100 different things at one time, and everything in between. The typewriter that wasn't, and then it was. And I learned how to type on the typewriter, a Royal typewriter. And now we have keyboards, we have detachable keyboards,
We
we've
have
got
voice to
keyboards on our
text.
phones.
People don't even have to know how to type anymore.
Thumb typing. You know, that's one that I don't know if I'll ever get.
But we have voice to text so that people can dictate it now, so yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. But that's the boomer age. So we
Yeah.
can see television wasn't there. And then it was black and white. And then it was color. I remember seeing the first thing in color on a color TV. I was so excited because unfortunately it was blood. It was a cowboy show and they were shooting people. But it was color. And today, would we watch something in black and white? They're changing black and white movies and films
Yeah.
and stuff into color.
Yeah.
So our kids today, they
Yeah,
don't have that experience.
they're just being overstimulated between the foods that they're eating, and then because their whole psychological and physical makeup is being changed by the foods they're eating, they're being medicated with pharmaceuticals to change that. So now and then they're being, like you said, with technology, so they've got things coming at them from all sides.
And Amy, what's even, I'm sorry, it takes my breath away to think about it. The CDC has released statistics that the children in this decade are predicted to not outlive their parents. And that is something that we've created, we've allowed to be created. And how can we do that to our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren? It's time for us to look at ourselves, to look at the future that we want for our children and the generations to come, and really take a stand that there is a better way, that there is a purpose that each and every one of us can step into to change the impact and the health of our children. by looking at what it is that we are helping them to consume. I was talking to somebody not too long ago, and they just said, it's too late for adults. I've just given up on adults. I can't even pretty much talk to adults. I go into the schools, I talk to the children, and one of my friends, Meryl Fury,
Yeah, I've had her on the show. She's a
she's
gem,
a wonderful
and what a
individual, and
wonderful advocate for children.
she's doing a project where she's going into the schools and she's teaching fifth and sixth graders about whole foods and plant foods and how they taste, and from a strawberry to a blueberry, which some of these kids have never
I've
seen,
never
much less
seen. You
tasted.
show them broccoli and you ask them what it is, and they don't know. They've never seen it.
And starting with them, they're saying, no, no, don't, no, no. And, a few months later, they're like, okay, what do we have today? Let's try something new. And they're excited about trying something new and taking that information home. And really, that's the kind of thing that when you implant it in a child, it goes with them
Yeah,
for life. And I think about the children today who, if they found the same kind of sweets in a strawberry or an orange that they find in Twizzlers, boy, how much better would they feel? How much better would they think? How much more would they aspire to do and be in their futures? And it really pains me that we are killing our children and we don't even know it.
yeah,
We're killing ourselves and we don't even know it because we've bought into the propaganda that we've been served through television. Um, and it's gotten worse because now it's not just food that's being served up to us like that. It's medications.
yeah.
Oh, you have diabetes, take this medication and you can dance around the park and look
Yeah.
pretty.
We've seen those commercials. Yeah.
It's like, no. One of my clients talks about, really wanting to reach out to other men with the message of a blue pill or blueberry.
Yeah.
And a blueberry does so much more for you than the blue pill. Just think about it. The blue pill can kill you. A blueberry is never going to kill you. And it has the same impact that the blue pill can have if you're looking for that opening to your blood vessels that allows you to be more, how do you say, more erotic.
Well, Dr. Esselstyn would say, "Raise the flag." That was his.
Okay, I like that. I like that. Yeah. So it's just about what we don't know. What we don't know, we don't know. But what we don't know can kill us.
Yeah.
And it's about, let's help others to know this information. And I so appreciate you, Amy, for your show, for all that you do in this space, because it's so needed. And I'm just so happy to be here with you today having this conversation.
Well, and I appreciate you being here and your advocacy and the Green Warriors, because they come and they are supporting this and they're sharing this and they're going over to your YouTube channel and other places, and they're sharing it with other people, and that's what we need. And speaking of support, I just wanted to acknowledge that we got a super chat from Boomer and Beyond Wellness. Thank you.
Awesome.
That's Angela Pischetti. She has been, and she's coming on the show at the end of the month. She's a fitness expert amongst other things, and she's been on the show quite a few times. So you should stay tuned for that as well.
Yes,
And
I love Angela. She's
yeah,
quite the advocate in this space as well.
yes,
We've launched earlier the 1st of May, we launched the Veganpreneur Revolution podcast. And we are filling our calendar with people like you, want you on the show. Angela has been on the show and so many others. And it really is all of us in our collective communications out into the world that tell this story of living a healthy, wholesome, plant-based lifestyle. And it's more than eating plants. It's all about exercise and sleep and hydration and, not putting the not good things in our bodies.
Yeah.
And it takes all of us, and it takes all of the message in order for us to help heal the world.
Yes, most definitely. So you talked about being a coach, and so how did you get started with this coaching? And then you also talked about being an accelerated business development coach. So you're in a different space in this plant-based movement, but it's needed. So tell us about
Yes.
that.
Well, thank you for asking. That's a great question. Yes, while I have had my heyday, in my heyday, an affinity and a journey in the wellness, health and wellness space, transitioning to becoming a coach was one of the best things that I could have done. Both of my parents were teachers, and I always denied that I would be, any sort of teacher. Yet I recognize that a coach is also a teacher. A coach is somebody that helps to guide you, that shares their wisdom and knowledge and experience. And I spent a year in a program with a coach to billion-dollar CEOs to learn accelerated strategies for business development, Rick Justice. And one of the things that Rick taught me was that there is a difference in a CEO and a person who is just trying to grow their business, the business owner. And that was, as a CEO, you had to be two things. One was the architect of the future. You had to be the one who designed the future of your business. And then you were able to lead people in that design to get the business where you wanted it to be. And so you were architect of the future. And oh gosh, it was the advocate of setting the culture to be able to move in that vision that you had for your business. And a lot of times, as business owners, especially small business owners, we feel that we're the ones responsible for doing everything, for being everything, and for moving everything. Yet, as I did more and I was helping more women business owners, I was able to see that not only was it important for you to have a business plan, but it went beyond that, because a business plan can outline the projection of the business, but the business plan could never hold the energy of the vision that you have for your business. And as a CEO, that was your calling, your responsibility, and your duty as a leader. And so I do a lot of conversations around leadership, agile leadership, where when you're moving in a direction, and not only do you have to pivot sometimes you just have to adjust. It's dancing. And I often relate business growth to being a dance. And, when you're in a dance, you can't tell yourself that you have two left feet. You don't want to tell yourself that you have two left feet, because it doesn't matter how you dance, you just dance. And two left feet is somebody else's judgment that you've accepted. And you've told yourself, and one of my hypnosis mentors said, if a lie brought you here, whether you're fighting with it or not, if you know it's a lie, tell yourself a better lie. You told yourself you had two left feet for so long. Now tell yourself you're as light as a feather on your feet, and you can move and you can make things happen. You can express something beautiful. And that's the dance that I like to help guide people through as they're looking at developing their business. One of the things that my business partner, Kathleen Gage, and I do so well is that dance as we're helping others to look at growing their businesses. bringing in ideas and strategies to help them to see, first of all, it's not a journey you take by yourself. Even when you think you are, you're not. But when you open yourself up and know that you can do this in a way that others support you as you support others, that collaboration, that connection, that co creation is such an asset in the acceleration space. And we utilize those strategies as we're helping our clients to grow. We do a lot of virtual summits behind the scene. We produce podcast shows for clients. We produce their newsletters. We produce all kinds of events that are collaborative events that help to not only propel the host of the event, but every person that's a part of it. And that's how we see that the message can go farther, faster, and with more strength.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's just so much that is involved in this. I know, speaking for myself, I've been kind of doing this on my own, although I do have Just Task Voice, who has been, oh, just so helpful in so many ways to help me get the word out about this. And she's, of course, doing the voiceovers, and she's doing a lot of the promotions and the graphic design. She's just a gem. But still, there's a lot to getting the word out about this and spreading this message, especially because there aren't that many people that are familiar with it, and you have to try to figure out how to explain it to them in a way that they can be receptive to it. And as we were talking about earlier, when we were talking about children and technology and how we came from manual typewriters, and now all of a sudden we're supposed to be good at social media and broadcasting, and the list goes on. So it's nice that you have chosen this space, because with all your business background, and of course with Kathleen and her expertise, that you both decided to choose this space to help, because there's so many pieces of this pie in order to change our world and change the understanding about this lifestyle and how it can be helpful to our health and of course to the planet and the animals and all those things and all those advocacy venues that we have opportunities to be a part of. But it's still, somebody's got to drive the bus,
Yes.
somebody's got to fly
Yep.
the plane, and somebody has to know how to get all these the words out. And a lot of people like myself, we're doing this because it's our passion, because something happened to us in our lives where we stumbled upon this and have seen the good that it can do for so many different ways, like I said, with the planet and of course with our environment and of course with health. We just really want to spread this word to everyone that will want to hear about it, but trying to figure out what's the best way to do it. And we only have a certain number of hours in a day,
Mm-hmm.
and we have limited. We're very good as far as our expertise in the space of telling people about this lifestyle and coaching them and helping them to learn how to best adopt it and maintain it. But the other part of it that we need to know about, that's so nice that the two of you have teamed up in order to
And,
help
and
the
that's
vegan
really,
entrepreneurs.
and thank you for that, Amy, because that really is why we stepped into this. We're both 100% whole food, plant based. She just turned 70 a couple of weeks ago. I'll be 70 in July. We feel as though this is our time, and this is time for our movement to gain the momentum and the added traction that it needs to spread. We've got viral opportunities in front of us every day, all day long, and we are in a position to do some things. And I believe that it happens through collaborative events. This is a collaborative event.
Yes.
And I believe that it happens through collaborative events. And if you were me and you felt like you died once, twice, if you actually had a near death or a death experience and you're on the other side of it now, we have a purpose in life. We have that passion that you talked about. And it takes all of us to do this. And Kathleen and I look at our part in this as being the builders of the train and the engine. And everyone, like you, has a particular car on this train. And while the train is flying at super speed, we can cover a lot of ground. And what happens is that every once in a while, the train has to stop to restock, refuel, all that good stuff. And we get an opportunity to spread our wings and have those conversations and touch people's lives and create the energy that goes on, the ripple effect of what it was that we did that goes on and touches other people. And then we're back on the train and we're moving and we're going to the next time that we have the ability to make that stop and make that impact, because we're moving like a bullet train. What we are also doing is creating the visibility opportunities that draw attention to us, so that when we do stop and we have time in this space and we can do the thing that makes the impact, so that when we leave, we know that the ripple effect is continuing. That's what we are here to do. And there's the element of time. I talk about a bullet train and the speed. We have got to act in a more efficient way to get more out there. And it requires, and I was going to use the analogy of a plane, but a plane flies so high that a lot of people still miss it. The bullet train flies a little lower so that it makes a different impactful pass through different places. And it really gives us a better chance to, in my opinion, gain the visibility so that you can be seen, be heard, reach the people who, from my perspective, are hungry to work with us. And then we're able to make the kind of impact in the world that we want to make. And it really is about spreading the word of the whole food, plant-based, healthy lifestyle that incorporates all of the pillars of healthy lifestyle. And
Yes,
food is the foundation.
indeed. And for all the Green Warriors that are watching, even if you don't have a business in promoting this lifestyle, it is your business because you're interested, you're here, many of you have already adopted it, and you can be on that train. You are on that train today. And you are,
Yes.
because you're watching this and you're learning from it, you're spreading this message to other people in conversation, sometimes with social media, you're sharing, "Oh, look at this, I wanna share this with you, I just saw this broadcast." So you're all a part of this, and we're all doing our part, and we appreciate all the support that you have. And I wanted to segue into some comments and questions because some people had put up some questions. So let me just take a look here. Okay, so we were talking about hypnosis, and that's, I think you've piqued some curiosity there. So Thanks said, "Do you go to a specialist for hypnosis or is there an app?"
That's a great question. I actually bring hypnosis into our work, and I have worked with my clients over the past decade to help them to get through blocks. And I have to admit that there are certain people on YouTube that do have pretty good hypnosis um, tracks that you could listen to. Um, Jess Shepherd is one of them. Um, Marissa Peer is another. And then there's a guy, I forget his name. He's one that I listen to pretty frequently too. I don't know why I'm missing his name right now.
It might come to you later. Mhm.
But those two women are my personal two go-tos.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And my question about hypnosis was because I'm kind of curious about it. So some people have said that you can you talk about how you can get somebody to change their mind about something, but if you can't just get somebody to do anything with hypnosis if they really don't want to, right?
That's correct. If they really don't want to, you can't. Hypnosis is not going to make them, and I think about, even with the Las Vegas stage stuff,
Yeah.
cluck like a chicken and all of that. That's stage. Um, but there are, and I'll say this, the most success that has occurred with hypnosis is when someone knows that they really want to change, that they really want something different. I always, for instance, I always eat after 8 o'clock at night, and I'm always eating the wrong things. I
Mhm.
don't want to do that. If you go in with that thinking and that desire,
Yeah.
that personal, I want this, then hypnosis can definitely help make that happen. And you won't have that happen. And like anything too, I also do tracks for my clients where I will record the track and give it to them to have them to listen on a continuous basis, because it does help to strengthen that. So, you can go one time and it can happen and you never have to worry about it again. And then there are some things that you want to reinforce. That's when you can use the recordings of the hypnosis session that you did and that track, and just have it go deeper and deeper. And the reason for that is we are, so do you ever, well, I'm sure you've seen the inside of a tree, right? Cut
Yes.
the tree in half and it's got these rings in it, right?
Yeah.
That is indicative of, once again, the subconscious mind. And kind of like peeling an onion, sometimes you can cut to the core and get things taken care of. Other times, because of, especially in trauma, because of the times that a traumatic incident can get written over top of itself so many times, sometimes the first time in a hypnosis session can take you down 3 layers. But if there's 15, you've got
Mhm.
more to go. And that's where the repetition of the track can finally totally help you to resolve something. And again, it depends on the individual. Again, one time might do it. And then, Amy, I've got this other thing too that I do. I was looking at tapping at one point, and I was on track for my certification in tapping, and got introduced to NLP and a couple other modalities. And I was in prayer one day because I was in traffic. I was living in California at the time, and I was traveling the 405. I think it was 8 lanes of traffic going one direction. And there was a car. I don't know who designed this highway, but there was a left exit off somewhere. And there was a car that came on the highway on the right and decided it was going to maneuver through all of these lanes of traffic to go off on the other side. And it hit the car in front of me. And while it got off and kept going, the car in front of me stopped dead in the middle of 8 lanes of traffic. And you should have heard the screeching that occurred. And I was just in prayer, please, God, help me, right?
Yeah.
And then the young lady in the car in front of me got out of her car, stopped middle of the highway, got out of her car, and came back to my window and said, did you see that? I was like, yeah, I saw that. And it was so fast, I couldn't
Yeah.
even remember the color of the car, right? She said, "Could I use your phone to call 911?" I said, "I will do you something better. You get back in your car,
Yeah.
you pull over to the side, I will call 911 and get this traffic moving again, because this is not good." and you standing out in the middle of the highway.
No.
Not good. So can you imagine what my emotions were like?
Oh, yeah.
I called 911. They were like, yes, we've had several calls. Okay, fine. So I figured she'd get taken care of. I'm driving down the highway saying, oh my God, what do I do with all of this stuff that I'm feeling right
Yes.
now? I can't stop and do, a 30-minute hypnosis session. I can't do a 30-minute tapping session. I don't know what to say. I was like, God, give me something. The next morning I woke up and I had something that I call the one tap solution. And it is a combination of tapping and hypnosis, because in hypnosis and tapping, it's about the words that you say that help create the energy. And in tapping, there are 9 meridians on the body that you tap. This is one specific meridian, and it is what I believe is the center of the meridians. It's the heart chakra. The heart was the first cell upon inception. And out of the heart cell grew the body. And this has been proven by the Heart Math Institute. Out of the heart cell grows the entire body, the embryo, and then the person. And so, we're thinking that the brain that we have here is like the brain. It's like, no. And then we got convinced that the gut has a brain. And yes, the gut has a brain. But you know what, Amy? The heart is the first brain. The heart is the strongest brain, because how do we know when we know that we know something? We look to the heart. What's your heart tell you, right? Yeah, what's your gut tell you? Your brain's going to tell you some stuff because it learns some things, it knows some things. But when you look at what does your heart tell you, you're really looking at where truth comes from, because it's the truth. It's the first place. And it's the center, right? You look at where we are top to bottom, the heart is the center of it all. And so 2 fingers tapping on the heart chakra and saying, me in this instance, in the accident, it created such anxiety. I am so stressed.
Yeah.
Taking a deep
Everything
breath
that you've
in
been running from your whole life.
and exhale. Yeah, these things come up. They need to be addressed. And
So
that
you were
one tap solution,
Mhm. So
talking to your heart chakra
uh-huh.
to bring yourself back to your place of peace.
Can you
And
just show us an example, a quick example of what somebody would be doing if they were doing that?
absolutely, thank you for asking. I'm going to share a story. This was part of my health journey too. I used to love Entenmann's donuts.
Mm.
And it was the bane of my existence. I go to the grocery store. I couldn't come home without a box of Entenmann donut. And I was done. I was like, this is not healthy. I know it's not healthy.
Yeah.
I don't want to do this anymore. I'm standing in the grocery store and I'm looking at this thing, this kiosk of Entenmann's donuts in front of my favorites. And I was like, hi, I'm deep breathing. Hi, Entenmann's donuts. Thank you for showing yourself to me today. But I know you're not healthy for me. I'm standing in the grocery store,
Yeah.
people all around, but I'm doing this and I'm looking like I'm just standing there tapping on my chest. But I'm saying this stuff even in a whisper. But you're not healthy for me. And while I can appreciate you wanting me to get you, I don't want you anymore. And it's for my health. And I thank you for staying there. And all the while, I'm deep breathing as I'm saying each sentence, thank you. I appreciate you showing yourself to me. But I'm going to leave you here. And I'm going to ask you to stay here and not reach out to me anymore. And I thank you. One more time. Thank you. I'm done. I'm done. Whatever energy there was with my heart, and this Entenmann Donuts was done. But
Wow.
it took all of that. It took me recognizing my heart as an actor in this dance, and the donuts, and the speaking was the energy that created the shift into what I wanted, that was new, that was different, that was healthy. And that's the one tap solution.
Well, thank you for that. That's something that I think the Green Warriors might be interested in trying. And then just breathing in between each sentence. That's important too, as you're continuously tapping on your heart. Yeah, there's just so
And
much energy around us, and why not tap into it? Because it
that's
sounds like
right.
a, yeah, that's
And
so
ending
awesome.
with gratitude.
Okay, and end
That's
with
a key
gratitude.
piece.
That's important too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, Green Warriors, this just wonderful? Why don't you all just click like and show your appreciation for what Lynn shared with us today? And Lynn, I know you talked about it a little bit. Just quickly kind of tell us how to get a hold of you and on social media and all of that.
Well, one of my favorites is Dr. Google. If you Google me, I come up, and you can find me on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. You can find us at veganvisibilityproductions.com. You can email me at vlynn@veganvisibilityproductions.com. That's vlynn@veganvisibilityproductions.com. And reach out. We do monthly virtual dinner parties where we're introducing vegan and plant based entrepreneurs to each other in an amazing setting of doing networking differently, in an unusual way. It's fun, it's engaging, and it's a contributory type of networking that allows you to get to know people more than what they do. But as you get to know them, you really get to know what they do and why they do it. So again, reach out, veganvisibilityproductions.com, and visit our website. If you're into podcasting and you want to be a better podcast guest, download our free podcast guesting checklist right there at veganvisibilityproductions.com.
Well, wonderful. Thank you for sharing all those resources with us. And thank you, Lynn, for sharing your incredible journey.
Thank
And
you, Amy. This has
I
been
mean,
a joy.
you really inspired us with your wisdom and your resilience and your insights on overcoming trauma and finding purpose. They're just truly invaluable.
Thank
And
you.
and I'm grateful. I'm sure the Green Warriors are grateful for your time and your generosity today. What would your final take home message be for our Green Warriors?
Green Warriors, be visible, stand out, wear your t shirts, wear your hats. Um, be the green warrior that you are, because the world needs to see us. And when they see us, they're more apt to hear us. And when they hear us and hear our stories, it's about the stories that create the change and the opportunity that others are searching for. It's our stories that create the opportunity for people to ask, if that happened for you, could this possibly happen for me? And we know that when we have people who are searching like that we do have the resources to be able to help. I'm so excited that there are more medical doctors and nurses and health coaches and nutritionists. Nutritionists, you would think the nutritionists would know this, but even they are finding this science backed information, um, more of the space that they want to be in, because they want to see people helped and healed versus just in this hamster wheel of pill and sickness or surgery and sickness. And we can do better.
Yes,
And it takes all types of green warriors to do that.
yes. We've got good ones showing up here today, that's for sure. So Green Warrior, tell us what you're going to remember from today. One of my takeaways is the heart is the first brain. And thank you, Green Warrior, for joining us today. Your engagement and your support make these discussions meaningful and impactful. And I hope you're feeling inspired to take a closer look at your food choices and make some positive changes to your health and well-being. Remember, every bite we take is an opportunity to nourish our bodies and become the healthiest versions of ourselves. And I wanted to also ask you to please stay tuned for more empowering content. Please subscribe to my channel and Lynn's channel and share our message with others who can benefit, because together as Green Warriors, we can make a meaningful difference in the world. And I wanted to give a special thank you to all of you who are watching today, because if you go to my website, begreenwithamy.com/join, I will send you 5 free recipes. Now, I also wanted to take this opportunity to thank Just Task Voice. She did the promos, as I was talking about earlier. She did the countdown. She did so much to help us be visible in this vegan world. And Just Task Voice, tell us who is coming up next.
Intrigued by the idea of growing your own nutrient-rich sprouts, but worried about common challenges like mold, knowing how long to soak your seeds, or when they're ready to harvest? Say goodbye to uncertainty and join us as we unlock the secrets of sprouting from seed to sprout. Wednesday, June 12th, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, on Be Green with Amy Live.
Of course, none of this would be possible without you, Green Warrior, and I want to thank you so much. Please take your right hand and grab your left shoulder, and your left hand and take your hold of your right shoulder and squeeze, because that's a hug from me to you and from me to you, Lynn.
Thank you.
Yes, and I really appreciate you being here, Lynn.
Thank you, Amy. It's just been such a pleasure to be here with you and your audience.
Thank you. And if you all want to type in the comments my tagline, which I'm putting up here on the screen, and you can do that along with me and Lynn as we sign off. Are you ready, Lynn?
Yes.
Okay. Until I see all of you again, remember, be strong, be well, and be green. Bye, Lynn. Thank you. Bye, Green Warriors.
Thank you, Amy. Bye, everyone.
Now you can get 5 free whole food plant-based SOS-free recipes from Be Green with Amy. Just click on the link in the show notes and Amy will send you 5 free recipes, motivational quotes, and more so you can be strong, be well, and be green.